Okay, guys, this time I'm going to tell you guys about, for example, the Ganesh, the polytheism and paganism, right? How we are being fooled at the current day, right? Right now you're studying, you're having all those doctorate, whatever, evolutionary biologist, whatever, chemist, right? Physicist, astrophysicist, whatnot, right? What are you doing at the end? You're learning English to the university level, right? I think I was going to take English literature. Later I didn't. First it was going to be business administration, and I think I didn't have enough credits. So then I was like, you know what? Let me go into English literature, right, and so on, like a bachelorette, right? So what you guys notice, all these things. Remember I told you guys with the like primary school is sufficient, right? The basic stuff. So they make you go through all this, right? So the modern day, let's talk about the evolution first. Remember with the Hinduism, you have Ganesh, you have the elephant god making out with the monkey god, and then the other, the blue human, this and that, right? And then you have multiple gods fighting in the sky. It's a big history with the Ramayana, blah, blah, blah. Then it turns out Ramayana is made up, right? And then they have so much history, 5,000 years old. And not to mention some of those temples, right? I said mandir yesterday. What I mean is the Hindu temples. So you see in this rare Hindu temples, you have like obscene scenery, right? They're not the majority. They're like clean temples. So you're like, oh my God, these Hindus, blah blah blah. No, those are isolated. Some sort of isolated guy, isolated. What do you call it? Followers, right? That created. I don't know why he created the Kama Sutra mandir. I mean the temples. So then what do you got? What else you guys notice? So already with the Hinduism, we know they have multiple gods. Sometimes the god is abstract, right? The god is abstract. So they're like, there's multiple god, thousands of god, millions and billions of gods, right? It's a stretch to infinity, right? So already we know there's so much elephant, this and that, mouse, you reborn, rebirth, reincarnation, this and that. And then let's go to talk about, for example, atheism, right? With atheists and even the Chinese, right? Whether it be a Jewish folks, even Christians, even among Muslims, right? So it's not bound to anybody. So let's talk about the mostly in Judaism. Judaism, we realize you have the giants, you have the aliens, right? You have the God who's like a giant Papa Santa Claus, like he's a silver surfer. He's like a god, but he's a bigger god. He's just a giant god. It's like the movie Interstellar, things like that, right? So then you have Adam, God, the interstellar giant human guy. He created Adam. We don't know where the giant interstellar guy came from, or the giant silver surfer, or giant Papa Santa Claus. So that's why you could fool him, right? It's like the creator of the heavens and the universe. You can fool him because he's a giant. He's a giant guy, giant human. I'm like, dude, the planet is way bigger. Okay, so why is it anyway? So it's like irrationality, right? Then you had Adam who had sex with a bunch of animals, trying to find Eve, and the heaven was already here. Heaven was already on. The Garden of Eden is already on the earth. God came to earth, so how did they get kicked out from the Garden of Eden, right? So they failed the basic premise. Like the Adam and Eve, we all know in Abrahamic faith, they got kicked out from the Garden of Eden. And then the Christians and Jews, I don't know if that's the accurate academic approach, but they always say, oh, no, the Garden of Eden was on earth. Okay, if it was on earth, we got kicked out, okay? So they fail at the very basic. So anyway, let's go with Judaism. Judaism, you got Adam having this, there's aliens, there's God who you could deceive, you could fool, right? And God also has favoritism. So you got a God who's you could fool, but somehow he has favoritism. I don't know any God, like a God who's going to create and has going to have favoritism, right? I mean, they do have it in like Aryan race or Brahmin, whatnot. So we know this in pride, even among family members, you have this. Oh, no, I'm richer. I'm better than the other ones, right? We see that. So already you see the Hindus, they have Ganesh. The Jews, they have the Adam having sex and the aliens and whatnot, the Nephilims, the giants. And then in atheism, you also have, for example, it's a similar thing. They're just coming under different things. They're like, oh, you studied. I have studied for 20 years. I have been mixing liquids for 20 years. That means I know more liquid mixing than you. I'm talking about chemistry, right? And then I've been doing math. I'm doing 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2. And I went to quadrillion numbers. I've been playing with calculator, and then I know more than you, right? So as you guys notice, I'm just simplifying it for you guys so you know the modern education system. You don't know. I mean, not you don't know. You don't need it, right? You don't need it. And look at what the graduates are doing. They're so illiterate. They spend so much time, right, doing education. They don't even get the very basic, like they're involved in mass harm. So they think it's not going to happen to them. After it goes other places, it's going to come back to you, if you don't. So from this, you could tell, even the brilliant doctorate, right? I have some of my cousins in doctorate, their husbands, they're working in top firms, But even they don't get it. So everybody has a selfish thing. Like, no, how I'm going to survive? Exactly. How are you going to survive? And people are dying. That's what the academic comes down to, right? So they have studied all this time and all this, right? So let's go with the atheism. They've been teaching us microscopic thing. Oh my God, you saw the bacteria? You saw how the bacteria ate one another? That's how evolution, that's how the trees became. The trees banged the humans, that became the bird. And then from the bird, we got the everything, right? The dinosaur had feathers, therefore they became bird, and the domestic bird, cats and everything, right? So on and so forth. So it's like, you'll never know. The stretch too, again, you notice, with the Hinduism, remember, there's billions, and what got us so much Hinduism, like, I know in the Western world, they claim the Hindus like 3 to 5,000 years old, but in India they claim Hinduism is like billions, trillions of years of old. They all stretched a lot. So even in atheism, you notice they have stretched the Earth to be 4.5 billion year old, and the universe being 13 point something, and so on and so forth. But then God, he in Judaism, God also rested on the seventh day to take a rest. So God is a giant person who needs to take a break. He's also like a human, right? A giant human. So anyway, let's go back to evolution. So with evolution, what you notice, they use the carbon dating or the time frame, right? Sometimes the Earth is 4 billion years old. Sometimes that's the beauty of science, we'll never know, right? So as you guys saw, there's so much discrepancies in the scientific thing. You cannot hoard it. You can like, oh no, you cannot see the Earth being 4.5 billion years old on your current data. You've been doing on calculator, 2 plus 2 is 4, and then you have observation with the telescope, and you combine the two and hiding under credentials. So it's the same thing. Back in the days, we had the Brahmins, right? The Brahmins used to be the governing bodies, and even the rabbis, right? They were the governing bodies. So they would go against their own scriptures. That's why the arrival of Christianity and Buddhism and others, right? Because they had all these weird irrationalities, right? So right now we have these irrationalities under science. Right? With the science, they usually mark in the Ivy League, the prestigious, right? You guys already saw they're starting to show, like Mia Khalifa, Salman Rushdie, and others, right? Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris. Sam Harris, he's an atheist, but he also believes in the divine inheritance, and he feels others should be killed. What the hell? This dude, how is he even allowed? So anyway, that's what he looks like. This is exactly how it was back in the days. The Brahmins, they'd be like, hey, those guys, not the Brahmins, let's say the rabbis, right? So Sam Harris is doing exactly that, right? He's hiding his under secularism, atheism, right? It's abstract concept. Oh, that's the beauty of science. That's the beauty of science. We will never know. That's how they get you, right? So even in evolution, you see obviously I'm making a caricature, right? When I say the tree is banging a monkey, that's producing a bird, and then the methane gas from the, the pond, the pyramidal soup. I'm like, everything is just like a random thing. Again, if you guys notice, it's similar to the Eastern religion, right? The Confucius, Taoism, Jainism, right? They don't attribute to a god. They attribute to an abstract reality. Abstract reality. We try to attain nirvana. We do all the good things. Confucius say, you do good, good will come. Okay, there's no intelligent design. You call an ultimate reality, but they try to remove intelligence from that ultimate reality. So they're always making it abstract. So that's how the devil gets us. So this is what the Dajjal looks like. He got rid of the God from all the religions. As you guys saw, I pointed in their scriptures, right? In each religious traditions, they're all the same. They all, be it polytheism, whatever, abstract, Eastern religions, Abrahamic faith, Hinduism, they all have an ultimate being. So God did never let them remove that part, right? And then right now, I'll tell you guys, what about, let's say, for example, accuracy. Okay, many of you guys failed this. Let's say I have a book. I have a biology book, not a biology. Let's say I have a math book. It's a calculus book, right? But at the whole thing is accurate, but only at the beginning. Let's say I started with the premise 2 plus 2 is 5. And the rest of the book are quite accurate, okay? But there's only one minor flaw. So will that book still be valid? Could you not have cognitive dissonance, and could you not have faulty rational faculties, right? You're gonna be like, if you allow one faulty thing, then it's gonna continue, right? That's why we didn't know. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many different religions. They're all different. No. It just turns out they're all the same. We already knew with the Hinduism and others, they already had the ultimate creator. With the Buddhism, they used to say, no, you guys are basic. We have you guys will not understand. So the same thing in atheism and Judaism, right? In Judaism, they fool God. the God has favoritism, and we will not understand. Oh, you guys copied us. No, you didn't. You guys had multiple, even till now. You have Yom Kippur yearly. They do annual sacrifices where they try to do the switcheroo with the Abrahamic thing. That's why one of the guys gave me explanation. So so they say we do two slaughter because we want to do the replace the goat with another goat. I'm like, no, that's for the demon kings. One of them you guys are doing every year, Yom Kippur. They do two slaughter, right? So anyway, so right now, what we're seeing with the Ivy League, the doctorate, right? I've seen some of my whatever. I don't want to name people. I've seen some of the people. Okay, even Richard Dawkins. Let's take a look at Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris. We all know we humans we have this inheritance thing like for admiration, right? So on and so forth. So these people hiding under credentials, these are the Brahmins from back in the days. Remember, the old Brahmins, they would, the Gandhis and whatnot, be the Vidyasagar having admiration for the ladies. So even Richard Dawkins, he likes them. He has issue with Muhammad, but he likes them college girls or even high school girls, cheering for him. Even five times his age, he wouldn't mind sleeping with them, right? So at that time, obviously he's not saying it. He's like, no, we're morality. Oh, you need a God to be civil? I'm better than you because I don't need a God to be civil. Hey, Mr. Richard Dawkins, okay? I'm going to be challenging you soon. So this guy, he's like, if you need God to be moral, that means you don't have morality. What you're not understanding, Mr. Richard Dawkins, you haven't spoken about any mass harm so far. Okay, your superficial morality is starting to catch on. Moreover, just because you say you're civil in front of people, you clean shave like a pedophile, and you come on stage, right? Who has to overshow? A person who is good. He doesn't have to go and tell everybody, hey guys, listen, I'm a good person. You know who does that? A hypocrite. So similarly, somebody comes in, like one is to come in a clean attire, like masculine and whatnot. And the other one, you coming as a pedophile, whatever, in a suit. But we already know with the hitmen, they wear suit too because they don't want to be caught, whatever, killers, people who hide identities, right? And so on and so forth. And already we have seen in my circle, for example, some of these older guys, they would clean shave to come after our girls, right? Female friends and whatnot. So anyway, so they would be, so they're like, oh, if you're not moral without God, you're not moral. Dude, just because you're saying it on the front, when you're alone, okay, majority of the molesting of the kids is done by the atheists, right? Anyway, so like the mass murder and other things, so on, right? Because you don't have a God. What's the purpose? Let's go kill it. Like, what the hell, And they don't talk about it. They're like, it's just it's individual, really. It's tied to certain ideology. It's called perpetual cognitive dissonance. When you live in cognitive dissonance and you put some fucking drugs, they go crazy, right? So this perpetual cognitive dissonance, it brings evil, right? It brings indifference, and it brings indifference to injustices. Therefore, just like the Samaritan law, if you're indifferent and heedless to the injustices, you also become an accomplice. And especially if you're contributing. So your salary and whatnot, when it's, anyway. So what else? So in evolution, what we notice is the same thing. It makes you study. You get a doctorate. You have seen more stuff on the microscope, right? You have seen the Galapagos Island, whatnot, right? You're regurgitating 18th century antics that has been refuted, right? And then now you have made it more advanced. Oh, no. We have sent Voyager. You don't know. Do you know about astrophysics? No. Sorry, I thought we were talking about biology. No. So then I think there's a study of everything. I don't know what's it called. So, for example, you combine the origin of life, the astrophysics, with biology and everything, right? I'm going to look that up. Anyway, so guys, what I was saying, the astrophysics with astrobiology, whatever, so even with the modern day atheism, right, in the academic Ivy Leagues, whatnot, I'm going to start going to debates with them soon because they always used to lose the debates, right, with the core discussion. They always have the cheering crowd, like half of them are cheering crowds. They're like, I used to be like, oh my God, how come they're cheering? I didn't used to understand, I was too young. Now I know. There are coys, right, setups. So anyway, we all know, on the internet, there's thousands of comments. Everybody knows that's such an intellectual defeat. There's no coming back from that's an intellectual checkmate, right? So anyway, let's talk about them. So it's basically the same thing. Even the modern atheist is the same as pagans. It's actually paganism and polytheism mixed together, right? So they say it's like similar to the Eastern religion. There's no God. But there's like planetary alignment. There's the right habitable zone where if you shift a little bit, it's so cold. If you shift a little bit towards the sun, it's so hot, right? We see it already with the tilts of the sun. So God already showed us a bit of tilt. It shows great differences. And then we want to cohabit the Mars, Neptune at minus 200 degrees. so many things, right? Wasting money and wasting time and resources, and the academia. This is where this comes in, right? The academia is like all these frothy nerds, the Bengalis are like, oh, I want to study, I'm a doctorate, right? So let's figure them out. So just because you've been, anyway. So basically, these people, it's kind of similar. It's kind of like Buddhism. You have the planet just came out of nowhere, like you just, it's like explosion. The explosion, chaos creates uniformity. So basically, it's the same as Hinduism. It's like multiple gods, billions of gods. Chaos is going on, and we're human in so harmonious on a planet. We're smarter than the gods. It doesn't make sense. The creation is smarter, right? So you could already tell. So anyway, let's go back to atheism, modern atheism. Modern day atheism is kind of similar. They're like hiding under academia. It's the same thing. Brahmins and the rabbis being the ultimate lawmaker, right? So the modern day atheists, like with a doctorate or others, evolutionary biologists, whatever, astrophysicists, astrobiologists, so on and so forth, right? With the doctorate, and we saw Salman Rushdie, he became a lord for finding the hidden Quranic verse that we Muslims been hiding. Oh my God. Or it was found under the rock. This is something I also want to tell you guys. This I forgot about yesterday. So about the historical record, how do you keep track of God's word? First of all, I should clear this part. It's not God's book. It's God's word of God. It's the word of God, which Christians, they mix it up. They're like, oh no, the word of God is Jesus. And Jesus and God and the Father and Holy Spirit, they're not three but one, but they're also three entities at the same time, simultaneously existing, but they're one. Okay, and then the word is Jesus, and they sit on the throne up there. There's two thrones. There's God's throne, a big throne, and a mini throne for Jesus. Astaghfirullah. So the same thing, same abstract. So you have what do you call? Sorry. So you have billions of years, right? Everything just comes into play, right? So this cognitive dissonance, this is super important. Cognitive dissonance, it leads to perpetual evil, or at least it will lead to mass harm and greater harm and sin. Of course, sin is the lowest, and then from sin you go to the worst sin. You start with the light sin, it's still chocolate, but then next thing you know, you're killing people in a large number, so on, right? Like, what's wrong with giving food? And then other people, if you're not accepting food, you must die, things like that. So in illogical stuff, it makes that's what the ultimate purpose of the devils, right? Is to make you ungrateful. You're ungrateful to the obvious. There's the obvious, and right now with the scientific things, even in Bangladesh, they caught on, they make fun of the religious, like they don't know they're the intellectually peasants, like cat. Why do I call them cat? I don't mean cat meaning they're agricultural cat. The illiterates. No, those agricultural people are more smarter, because when they're kicked by the goats and whatnot, the horses, their brain becomes sharper. They're more agile, right? They're more smarter than the city folks. The city folks, the only thing they're good at, anyway, it doesn't matter. So they're probably good at getting pickpocketed and get shot, so on and so forth. They're always worried. They're like, did I lock the door? Did I lock the door? Freaking loser. And he's kicking out the married person next door. Fucking dumbass. So anyway, let's go back to evolution, right? So this thing, they're showing, oh no, it's billions, it's a chaos. It's chaos coming into uniformity. So it's already making it illogical, okay? Let's go with that one. Let's say chaos without, also in religious faith, we also say that. Let's say that whatever, if that's what's proven, explosion brought about uniformity, and it could only happen if there's an intelligent design. But then in atheism, not only in evolution, but also in astrophysics, they got rid of religion, right? It's secularism. So same thing in the East. In the East, it's communism, no religion, keep religion private. Here is secularism, keep religion private. So you can see it's the same thing. For the East and the West, it's everywhere place except the Middle East, right? Mecca and Medina, except in Mecca with the JLO dance thing there. I don't know if he was inside the city. I mean, I don't know why JLO put more revealing stuff at Saudi Arabia than LA. It didn't even question it. So anyway, let's go back with the evolution. And first of all, let's go with we got the planetary right atmosphere, right place, and you got all these things formed. And then we're spending money when we already know. Like, I think it has to make sense. I'm like, how are we gonna? The next solar system is 4.5 billion years old. How are we gonna get to it? Why do we keep on sending? Like, we've been sending spacecrafts and what do you call Voyager, this and that. With one of them back in the days, we sent it with all the things we had on a record. Elvis Presley songs, this and that, the Beatles, blah, blah, blah. Like, hey, we're Earth, we're humans, come find us, so on and so forth. But already since my childhood, I knew it doesn't make sense. I cannot travel at the speed. Like, we don't have anything. I know in the space is different. And then some of these nerds, they had their hypothesis, right? Not the ones with the authoritative credentials. I'm talking about the regular folks. They would be online. I mean, I would watch even folks with credentials. They're like, oh, you know what? We will create some sort of technology that the spacecraft will not move. The space will move. We'll go through wormholes, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So many things, right? Just come up with anything irrational. So now I'm starting to think if these are the same people. Not that I'm starting to, I know right now. So these atheists, modern, especially the evolutionaries, is the same thing. There's the same as Ganesh. The bacteria, the mouse had sex with the bird, and that became the dinosaur, and so on. Obviously, I'm making caricature because they've been telling us. They're like, oh, you wouldn't know. Galapagos Island, the beaks were bigger. That's why monkeys became humans. Look at the shared DNA we have. Almost accurate. I mean, dude, I'll fucking share the DNA with the bird. Okay? So you gotta stop acting under the, what do you call it? Power of, no, authoritative, hiding arguments from authority, right? So arguments from authority. They're like, oh my God, do you have a doctor like this guy named Pervez Hoodboy, right? This Pakistani, the astrophysicist. He's like astrophysicist, but we already know in Pakistan, India, they cheat, right? So later on, the guy, he read some books. Even me, if I watch some YouTube videos or read some articles, I could also, obviously, I'm not gonna be like, sir, teach me, Professor Hoodboy, tell me, sir, which one should I put my atoms on the left butt cheek or the right butt cheek, right? So that's how the students they become, right? So anyway, so as you notice with astrophysics, they're like just putting anything, quasars, quarks, this and that, antimatter, dark matter, right? It's stretching to infinity. Again, you see it's like paganism. There's no intelligent design, but they made it like very modern, like, oh my God, sophisticated. You know, you will not understand. You guys are peasants. You're brown already. So again, you see it's the same thing. It's even though you will, let's say, I don't know if you guys noticed, look at all the top scientists. You have Richard Dawkins, you have Professor Lawrence Krauss, Sam Harris, others. I don't see any non-white person in the top academia, in the atheists, right? And they're mostly Jews. They don't say it. They're like, oh, what is religion, including Judaism? I don't believe in this thing. Yes, you do, sir. Why do you, how come you don't talk about the mass harm? So it shows. It talks about women being oppressed, but we don't talk about other stuff, right? The main one. You want to talk about oppressing women, you're bombing women, okay? So enough with that shit. So anyway, you already know it's superficial civility. That's what I talk about. So anyway, let's talk about the atheists. So under secularism, so they try to guys like, oh, sir, under secularism, 301 section, blah, blah, blah. The billionaire, who's the guy who stole 400 billion, he doesn't have a record, sir. He's clean shaved, he's Caucasian. But you, sir, you stole a bread. You go to jail for 20 years because under secularism, under section blah, 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 301-A, we charged also the government 200,000 per inmate for what do you call one prisoner, right? One inmate. So it's very well set up. Like the judge are there to incriminate. It's like the same thing back in the days, the Brahmins. Like, you gotta be scared. Oh, give me mercy. Judge, give me mercy. What? I haven't done any crime. What the hell? Why I have to be under your mercy, right? I was like, no, you came to the West. We didn't want to come to the West. Okay, we don't want to come. I mean, plus East and West, I'm from both actually. I have Western blood and I have the Eastern gene. So I'm from both places. You're the one who's probably, if you do too much racism, we're gonna talk about the foreign ties you have, like with the transfer of wealth and whatnot, right? So it is actually you who are foreign ties sending money overseas. So if anything, you should be looked after. So anyway, let's go back talking about the atheists. So what you guys see is that these atheists, so they have the same thing. Microscope, first it was a singular, from primordial soup to a singular microscope, whatever, you guys can look it up. And then it had sex. It ate. It bloated, it bladed, it replicated. After replication, it would have sex with. So I think that was for evolutionary biologists. That's their first Adam, the singular the one came out of the primordial soup, and the bacteria that had sex, that was Adam for them, right? I'm just making a caricature. So basically, even with atheism, they stretch it to infinity. Or did you know the humans, the chimpanzee was 3.6 billion, and then the humans is 3.1 billion. I'm just obviously making stuff up. But I mean, it's just to show you guys a point. Like, I'm being speculative and making caricatures to make the point is that they just make anything up, right? As we know already, studies and whatnot. So I was talking about how to preserve knowledge. The only way to preserve knowledge, okay, the word of God, okay, I see this word, okay, sorry, I got mixed up. Jesus being, okay. So the word of God, how to preserve it, It's not by writing down. Writing down the books is for the busy individuals because we know not everybody could be scholars or learned and can memorize, right? Someone has to go farming. Maybe he's tired after. He has a family to raise. He cannot, he want to have it as a book. And those who have memorized it can correct if he has a book from a wrong publication or, for example, the Muslim Pro app, right? We later found out many kids were reading it and looking for Qibla, but Muslim Pro app was tracking them, where they were going. And what else? They were not even reading Quran. Some parts, like 99% or 98% was good, 95%, but there were some wrong inputs, just like as I told you guys with scientific books. So if you have something academic, if there's a 1% wrong, and you're relying on this, anyway, so if something is true, it has to be 100% true, especially when it comes to God, right? And there's no wishy-washy, oh no, we'll know later. No, it doesn't work like that, sir, Mr. Richard Dawkins. So these are basically Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, these are the Brahmins from now, right? The rabbis of modern days. They know with the rabbis, nobody's gonna listen. Like, dude, you got some God who forgets, and the other one is you gotta pierce your God, you gotta sacrifice your God to pay for the original sin, which was simple disobedience, and to pay for the original sin, you gotta cut your God, like similar to the Ganesh thing, and then. So anyway, let's have a look at. So basically, they're similar. It's like multiverse. They're speculative. Oh, we found some quasars, therefore multiverse. Oh, there could be whatever based on our credential. Because my theory, it's not a theory. My theory is not a theory. It's based on facts. So they would have this cry, oh, no, it's a fact, it's a fact, it's a fact. Like, we understand. You take a bit of bits of data, limited data, and then you make your speculative hypothesis. That's not a theory. That's not that's why they kept on shouting, oh, evolution is a fact. Evolution is a fact. We saw. I'm like, I thought that was millions of years of thing. Yeah, we have found records, okay? And so, based on the bone structures and whatnot, you could carbon date and whatnot. You find anyway. So, they have something similar, right? So it's like the tree banging the bird and becoming bacteria and the primordial soup and everything just coming into existing. That's like similar to Buddhism. Everything is there. Where they're also the atheists. They're very, they want to show the progressive thing, right? They're like, because if you're not progressive atheist, you're the radical atheist, right? You become like careless, not a radical. Like you're like a person who's heedless. So you end up killing. Like you don't care. You become a nihilist, right? Pessimistic nihilism. No, you become a nihilist. Like everything has no meaning. Right? If you're a true atheist, you will know, like Noam Chomsky and stuff like that, you'll notice that the true atheism is actually self-defeating, right? Because then you have no reason to live, and you have nothing. You started with a wishful thing. Oh, I don't know. There's so many religions. I don't know which one to believe. Yes, you do. They're all common. Everybody God sent. They all have an ultimate creator. Be it the Eastern folks, they made God abstract, or in some other parts, Judaism, Hinduism, and Christianity, they made polytheistic constructs with the demons, Father, Son, and billions of gods. And what else? And then even in Islam, the only religion right now, it's you even have Baha'i and everybody. I think that's what they were trying to say. So you also have the Muslim clerics that are, oh no, Baha'i. No, Baha'i has been also helping us. They're trying to get to the truth, but at least with Islam, that's the good part. Baha'i, this is where they mix up. They're like, no, we should take everything from everything. But they're not handling, they're more about nirvana and whatnot, salvation, enlightenment. When I say enlightenment, it's actually salvation. So not only we have all these things, right? You need the planetary thing. You have all these other universes. At the beginning, I remember they used to say, oh, look at your Quran. It says the Quran also orbits. Quran doesn't orbit, right? And then they say, oh, the flat earth. The Quran says flat earth. Quran never said flat earth because it said the sun sets on a murky water. Murky water, meaning muddy water or something like that. So they thought by saying, let's say when we see the sun setting on the horizon, when I write a book about it, I'm not saying the sun is setting on the horizon, right? Or even when we say the sun sets, the sun is setting. The sun is not actually setting, it's our planet that's rotating, right? So, but if I tell, the planet rotated to the 12th quadrant, I'm coming to work at the 13th quadrant, 14th hour, right? So obviously nobody speaks like that. So they always shift focus from the core discussion. They come to like, oh, Muhammad, they flew on a donkey. First of all, sorry, it wasn't a donkey. It was a special, special thing. Yeah, and if God could create us, that one is to show that there's some sort of portal, right? From the Jerusalem, that place, Al-Aqsa Mosque, right? the where you had the ascension, right? The ascension of Al-Miraj of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they can, like, even right now, I don't know if you guys saw with the Vatican's releasing the, what do you call it, the opening the Lucifer's tomb in a long time, and then also under the Al-Aqsa Mosque, it's been a decade maybe for so many years. They're building something underneath because they know if they destroy, even in Judaism, even the atheists, they know if they break the Al-Aqsa Mosque and then they go to teach the Judaic laws in there, they know, even though they don't believe in Islam it says that's going to be the fall of the Jews, right? They're going to spray the blood, whatnot. So they don't do that. So rather what they do, they go underneath the thing. They're trying to create, excavate the Temple of Solomon, whatever the case is, the portal, right? So that time is okay. The demon king comes down, no problem. But Muhammad cannot go up. Buddha could go up, Muhammad cannot go up. It's irrational, right? Angels there. God could create us, but no, Muhammad cannot go up because he's Middle Eastern. He's not Ishmaeli. He's not Isaac from the. So already you could see the racism, right? Similar to the Brahmins, like, oh no, you Muslims, you guys came up, look at you, you guys are mixed. We are pure blood, right? And then they have the class system, Dalit, the Shastra, the Brahmins, and the this and that, And yesterday I forgot to say one thing. I think it was the Gori, right? The Gori is not the Gori, the ones who eat the necrophilia, right? The ones who, they're naked usually and they eat the deads, right? So in evolution, is it the same thing? Is all the top credential? Who are they? Is some bunch of Caucasian folks, right? It's a Caucasian. Those guys they're from Jewish background, right? They call themselves secular. And so it's the same thing. You have the multiple stretch to infinity. The universe being 14 billion years old. You don't even know what's on the news yesterday, whether it's accurate. You know exactly. It's like the Vishnu thing. Not Vishnu. From the Scientology. There was someone from, wait, let me look it up. Anyway, right now it looks like they removed that. But Scientology, they had this one God. He came from 50 billion years ago. They are very good at dating. 50 billion. We don't even know what happened 100 years ago, but they know. 50 billion, and they also have the God is an abstract, right? The urge towards existing as infinity. Okay, so they don't have God, but they got also give whatever 15, 20% or 50% of their salary in order to be a member. And then they have what do you call, just like Fido stores, what do you call them, boutiques. They have boutiques throughout the shopping malls recruiting new people, right? Because if you go with them, whatever, they help you succeed, but then you gotta always pay 50% or something, right? So they don't have no dogma on God, no set dogma, or they don't have dharma. They have dharma. Dharma is like in Hinduism, it's like you do your religious duties, but there's multiple plurality of God, billions of God, or sometimes God is not present, but you still keep on doing your dharma. Okay, guys, I got it. It's Xenu. Scientology used to make fun of it because they had a God from exactly 50 billion years ago. You see, it's all tied to the same thing. It's always leading you to anything away from God, right? So that's what I want to get to you guys at. So right now, there's all these modern folk, these geeky nerds, among my cousins. You study for nothing, buddy. You study the same English for up to fucking 12, 15 years. You study the same math for so many years. And look at you. Look how you are. Okay, all you know, you go play with your friends crickets, and you might travel. You don't help your cousins. They call me. Okay, so already I know you're not educated. You're like full of yourself. You fooled your wife. Okay, she already doesn't like you. That's why she doesn't like you, because she could see that shallow person inside you, right? So even my friends in back home, right? So for example, he did bachelor. One of the friend, he's the one who was a good student. He didn't give us time. He was always a good. He had to be good. I don't know why he had to be so good. Dude, why you have to be so good? So anyway, he studied good. He got his bachelor. He got a job. His salary wasn't that great. While he was doing that, then he got his master's, right, part time. And then I guess right now he's doing good. He's in managerial position at a company that's in charge of exporting and whatnot. So all this education he has done, he has built a house. He's building several places because he wants to have peace in the old age. These are some of the things. If you're gonna be involved in harm, you just saw, some of our uncles, they have done bad things. They didn't give peace. And what happened? They have big houses, but they have died, and their children are not living in those houses. Okay, so you guys know very well. Not only that, even if nothing happens to you on this earth, Allah is waiting for you. So you're gonna build up your house, have proud. Already you're proud when you're young. You were a good student, good family. We're all from the same, from a maternal side there. I'm telling you guys. So we're all from a singular forefathers, and yet you still boast among each other. You don't play because you want to study, you want to be a good person. And then at the end, what's going on? You're investing, you're utilizing that money because rather than working for a business, you have, that's why I don't see a lot of you guys like smiling or whatnot, no communicating, no nothing, right? Just doing your regular thing, just a typical Buddhist or Chinese folks. Oh, I just pray 5 times. What can I do? So it's kind of, even in Bangladesh, they made religion like, oh, no, it's personal. They push this, the modern folks, they push this thing, it's personal. And so they're so away from the God. They're doing singing, this and that, the Mongol Jatra, right? I don't know why. The Pohela Boishak, right? Our New Year, Bengali New Year, eventually started becoming like with what do you call it? With the statues and idols. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, you don't even take a day off for Eid, but you're doing Holi. We even started having throwing the colors, the Holi, right? I don't know what you call it, the thing. They're like, no, it's culture, it's modern. So anyway, going back to the scientific thing. So basically, it's the same. Oops. So it's basically the same thing. So it's like trees banging with the bird becoming bacteria to human to dinosaur. It's like anything and everything, right? Similar to the Ganesh story in Hinduism, similar to the Jewish, as you guys saw, with the Nephilim and whatnot, and in other parts, obviously. So main focus was they got rid of God, right? They got rid of God, and right now everybody has their personal God. They do it part-time, but they do anything for money, be it Buddhists, Hindus, even my friend, like one of my friend in Montreal, let's say, he has earned. He's always a good kid. Whenever we used to chill, he always used to give all his money to his parents, and he would bring, let's say, $20 or whatever to chill with us, so he doesn't spend too much. So he did good. He saved, blah blah blah. But at the end, what happened? He saved. He couldn't buy a house inside the city. He had to go outside, even past the surrounding cities. So he's all the way far. He's still working, paying interest. He doesn't know he's gonna. By the time he pays interest, your house is paid off. You're gonna be an old person, and you won't even have energy. And not to mention those interests, all those downtown buildings and other places, they're getting built up. You're paying off your single home. Other people are building up high rises, and they're gonna be, your children are gonna be working. They're gonna be country. They're gonna be the janitor of those things, right? So you're don't think you're gonna get away, right, my friend who is hearing this? So it's like everybody, right? They're like, oh, no, they don't want to think about it. And not only that, like some of the people you saw, they do, like, as I told you guys, my friends from single mothers, the guys, they don't respect girls that much. I'm like, dude, just because you're a good looking guy doesn't mean you should, sometimes even he had, like, for example, Indian girls that came new from the country, they were virgins. And then the way he talks, he's good at texting, right? He's good at texting. He's like a Tinder expert. Not only Tinder. If as soon as he gets a number, he's gonna get to that girl, no matter what. He's good at talking, right? So anyway, I told him, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, like, all these girls, like, this girl was virgin. I would have married her. What are you doing? He's like, no, I don't, once I sleep with them, I don't like them. So many things, right? So that's why these people, once you have cognitive dissonance, when you're not attached to reality, you're going to cause harm, perpetual evil, or you're going to be indifferent, right? Being indifferent is Islamically is also, it's like, you're like posting pictures of Palestine and others, but you're the one who's causing the harm, right? You're the one who's causing the harm. So, you should speak to the, proper authorities and whatnot. Like, hey, what can you do? Why are you guys doing this? Why are you taxing? Like, the country's in deficit, but then we are offshoring funds for wars. Okay, that's kind of, I mean, communism and secularism is the same thing. It's left-leaning. Government's private. Okay, sorry, religion is private, but governing body rules your family matters. I'm like, what the hell? We're paying you taxes for you to govern us from single-parent households? Right? Make it make sense. The judge is like, no, this is Quebec. Okay? I'm like, Your Honor, even if it's Quebec, you have no right for on our children. Okay? There's no country. If you like that, Your Honor, go back to North Korea. Okay? That's the country you should go to. Okay? Because it's not like this. They're like, oh, according to Section 3.1, you forgot to brush your kid at 6:59, therefore it's parental negligence, we get to take away your kids. Really? To the facilities, give it to, or another thing you guys have to know, like in Islam, I think there's no adoption, because in adoption, I have many friends, my brothers, exes, and whatnot. They went through adoptions, and they adopted. We already knew the studies. Even the biological parents, they do stuff with their kids. So imagine someone. I told you guys I have a superficial civility. I'm such a friendly. I don't have record because I got away, right? I had a good lawyer, whatever. It doesn't mean you're not a bad person, right? You could molest a kid, 2-year old. The kid will never know. The kid will grow fucked up, right? So we're not gonna risk it. You already don't believe in God, okay, buddy? So just because you don't have a record, you got lucky, you got connection, it doesn't mean you're a good person. So anyway, going to the thing. So how to preserve? I just want to clear up one thing. So how to preserve a book, the Word of God, is through oral practice, right? It's not only single or individual oral practice, because they think, oh, the game of telephone is so wrong. That's why they love the game of telephone. But what you notice, it's not an individual oral tradition. It's a collective oral tradition. You also have the book format, but the book is for the busy individuals. So you have all these people. That's a miracle. Like the human brain. You guys already saw the fly. The fly is so tiny and it's able to evade the humans. God did it just to show you, look, a tiny insect, you cannot even catch it. So imagine the human, the big brain you have. You're being dumb. You're working. You're being stingy, because I see majority of you. You guys are all obsessed with money. You don't care. Like you leave religion on the side because you love money. Okay, God didn't say do not love money, but do not do anything. For example, interest, investments, so on and so forth. Like in a country that's responsible of whatever. So that's why in Islam, I think it says you cannot stay in a country that's non-Muslim. That's especially if it's responsible of harming, global harm, right, mass harm. So the way to preserve the wealth is by collective oral tradition. And it's not only by that. It's not only collective oral tradition, okay? It's also, you have to live by it. You have to be super God conscious. You have to be eager to meet your Lord, right? That's when you will live. I know it's you guys the shallow people might think it counterproductive. Oh my God, I don't want to think about death. That's going to give me depression. It's actually the opposite. When you think about not your death, but when you think about meeting your Lord, right? Your regular, your creator. So that time you will actually be able to more focused. You're not going to sin. You're going to be a good person, right? You're going to be a good person in every way. You're not going to do, oh, I pray to this God, but today I extort my tenant's rent because right now the rent is $2,000. I need to go to vacation. Why did you do all this for? So basically, you did all this to buy enough, have a down payment, so you could extort the rent from the, and not only that, you're thinking you're going up. Your building became $20,000, broken building became like $1 million. It's not, okay? It's just the money has inflated. Your building's still broken and old, okay? So it didn't inflate. It's just we got more people. So anyway, to preserve the Word of God, it's not only about oral recitations, oral traditions, collective oral tradition, but it's also you have to be God conscious, God loving society and individually, right? In order to preserve it, right? Because when you're God conscious, you're all about accuracies. That's the thing with the knowledge of the unknown, right? That's why I forgot to tell you guys. Knowledge of the unknown, it has to come from God. Okay, and it's not just any God, especially with the witnesses. Oh my God, many people, they're like, wait, I have this many books. I copied this many millions of copies. You only have a few thousands. So therefore mine supersedes yours. Sorry, you just printed yours more. And that's not how the religious thing works. Okay, in order for God's book to be divine, it has to prove itself. It's not based on testimony. You know what? Jesus came 600 years before Muhammad. Okay, so Muhammad, who is he? Okay, sir. Also, we know who is Jesus, because he came many thousand years after Moses, right? And moreover, it's not even Jesus. It's actually Paul. The Trinitarian concept came from Paul, the Jewish person on his way to Damascus to see the Romans. He catered to the Roman things. Oh, yeah, I saw Jesus the human on the way, Jesus spirit. Rather than seeing the spirit of Angel Gabriel or some sort of jinns or demons, he saw Jesus himself, like even in his soul, like he was a cartoon format. He's just hovering, what do you call it? The outer, he's like a Casper the Ghost. So basically, what's his name? Basically, Paul, the Saul of Tarsus, he saw Jesus in a Casper format, right? In a ghost format. And I want to know, did he see, I want to know, all the Christians, if they could comment, if if Paul saw Saul of Tarsus, if he saw Jesus in the Casper format, or was it in the physicality? Okay, I would really like to know. And so they always used to try to use the argument, oh, no, we have testimonials. Do you have any testimonial? First of all, your testimonials are wrong. Not only wrong, actually, even within your testimonial, you're not accepting. There are plain verses that are saying, for example, I'll show you guys. Okay, even in Christianity, for example, okay? So you have, for example, the explicit verses in Mark 12:29. The Lord, our God, the Lord is one. But then they're going to come up with things like, oh, no, Jesus in John, he said, I and the Father are same. But then God also corrected it, right? So, for example, Christians, they love this, I and the Father are one. Like, it's very implicit, it's not direct. I and the Father are one. You change it from Greek to Aramaic to Hebrew to whatever, Old Latin, Old English, International version, 1960s version, 1980s version, right? So you try to put your better words, and then it could mean multitude of things. I and the Father are one, meaning we're talking about the same message. We're talking about this reality. We're talking about the truth. They're like, no, that means Jesus is the Son. Okay, so they like to use these things, right? And then later, even God didn't allow them to. So in John 14, 28, right? So God didn't allow it to allow them to be scored. So they have to live on deliberate cognitive dissonance. So that means it's evil. So when you go on deliberate cognitive dissonance on a perpetual level, you become evil, right? So as you can see in Christianity, that's why they're like, oh, sins have been paid. They want assurance. They want an assurance, just like in the Sufi saints in Muslim groups. In the Sufi groups, they're like, oh no, I need the ticket. The king of Brunei, it was a Sufi. He bought a ticket to the heaven by paying some Sufi saints. Even I remember in some of the, I'm not gonna name them. So some of the Sufi groups in the northern Bangladesh, they're like, no, it doesn't matter how much you pray. You have if you see the saint one time in your dream, or the prophet, if the prophet is a grander one, bigger dream, even if you see the saint, the one you follow, you're good too, the local saint. So you're saved. It doesn't matter if you prayed or not, you're saved. Okay, so they have these things too all over, right? So even we're shown God didn't let it go. So my father is greater than I. So when they say father, it's not literal father, right? We're talking about the originator. So when I say the originator, or if I say the manufacturer, it doesn't mean the literal manufacturer, right? What do you call it? The industrial thing, complex. So despite showing all this, they're like, I don't know what I was talking about. Anyway, I'll continue another episode. So I think I was talking about the preservation, right? The preservation. They're like, no, the witnesses. The witnesses are more important than the book being flawless. So if you have a flawless book, the testimonials are better because your book came 600 years after, but your Bible came 3,000 years after, or whatever, the Psalms and the Injils and the Jabur and the Talmud and whatnot, right? So even your books came after. So you basically, with your own argument, your racism is apparent and you cancel yourself out, right? And moreover, in Exodus, even in the whole of history, we always knew there was one ultimate. In Judaism, in Judaic thing, it was always one God. I mean, later, the other food offerings and whatnot, it got incorporated, just like in Shiism. That's why they were able to find the satanic verse. And us, we're so stupid. As a kid, we're like, oh my God, he found the secret chapter. It's the same as the witnesses. It doesn't matter if you find a secret chapter, right? If the book has been memorized by the overall since the time of the prophet, and if they're God-conscious folks, they're not gonna make mistake. It's a collective thing. It's a collective oral tradition. So it's not the game of telephone that you want to use the arguments. I don't know how they get away with all these things. So anyway, the main thing was, so basically, as you guys saw with evolution, there's just a bunch of hocus pocus. You already know what the studies, with the so many things, they say something, this, like, you saw the ingredients on food label, this and that, so many shady things, right? So it's like, you cannot be like, the vaccine and whatnot, it's like so much weird stuff. So it's basically at the end, they're like, oh, no, I have a doctorate, so you must do this, you must do accordingly, or I'm the judge. I'm like, doesn't matter if you're the judge or whoever. You don't have more rights over the kids, okay? If you like that, secularism, go back to North Korea, okay? This is not North Korea. That you're going to take away the kids and make money, just like the inmates, free sandwich. We charge them 200K to the government, okay? How do you justify? Or the facility, the one small washroom size we give them, and the guards guarding them, right? Didn't you imprison him for chocolate bar? And the guy who stole billions, he's out in the open, so it's not working. So clean shave, that's what the clean shave thing. And he noticed, anyway. So going back to the thing, so even them, they have in atheism, astrophysics, you have if you remove intelligent design, it's the same thing as Buddhism, in Judaism, right? In Christian, you will not understand. It's an abstract concept. There's order, but there's no intelligent design. So as you guys notice, it started from the East, right? It started from the East. They have communism, whatnot, no religion, keep religion private. Just shut up and do your thing. And also they have statues and whatnot. I think in North Korea, I don't know why that guy is making statues, and even on other parts. Oh, it's just modern thing, no, sir. If the citizens are starving, you don't build statues. First, you feed the citizens. Then, even then, it's highly anyway. Like you're building monuments, like great buildings, and people, they come, the maid mentality. They come, let's take some picture. We've been there. Let's put it on social media. We're the first to be there. We're so trendy, huh? So this is the number one. The Bengalis are number one on this. Like you look like a kajir-bua, you're like a cat. Like they built a building from your own money, and you're just going to see it, and somebody owns it, and they make money from your tickets and whatnot. You paid for it. So that's why I call them like maid, maid mentality, like a cat maid. They're like, oh, I went there. Did you go there? You didn't go there. You're not succeeding. You're not better. You actually contributed. You extorted rent. You're working like a slave, 80 hours. Nobody could do nobody have the labor mentality, kajirpua mentality, like regular people cannot work that much, so on. And then the more you're working, the more your money is going down, right? They don't even understand the basic math. They're like, no, I see no immediate thing, nothing. They already know, right? They broke anyway. So the Eastern side, as you guys notice, that there's no the God is abstract, right? There's the ultimate reality, karma. You do good karma will come back to you. They have all this thing, but then, so in the Eastern part, you will usually have do good things and karma will reward you. So basically, they abstracted, they removed God. And the Western folks, I remember a few decades ago, they used to be showing like, oh no, you guys are Muslims, you guys are barbaric. You guys are you're Muhammad flew on a donkey. You guys believe in the jinns, demons, and stuff. And then we realize the world is able to. Why did the God place alien species in the jinns? Because otherwise, it wouldn't be. The more problem you have, the more chaos, the more God conscious people become, right? So we humans, as I told you guys, we are ungrateful beings, right? So if you had happiness, if you had no heartbreaks, you would be like what do you call? You'd be just living your life heedless. You're just gonna commit evil, as I told you guys with one of my friends, good-looking guy. He just keep on sleeping with God. If he was given 1,000 years, he would sleep with all the women, including your woman. Okay, so don't think they're innocents, right? Just because they're giving limited time, and so because we're given limited time. So anyway, before I get lost, so yeah, karma has paid you a visit anyway. I told somebody. So as you guys can see, even with Christianity, they got modern. They make fun, right, with the. But then at the end we realize, okay, why is it God? Put the suffering. So first we realize the sufferings are there because we humans are ungrateful. Like whether you're not that good looking. I remember when I was a kid, I used to always dream. I'm like, if I close my eyes, maybe God's gonna make me normal. I want to have I want to have the best good looks, right? I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna pray to God. I'm gonna be one of the best looking person, right? I don't know. Maybe it was some sort of pride that was working, or maybe it's just that I wanted the love of my life. I just wanted a girl to love me, right? So I wanted to be good looking. I guess I did have some defects, whatnot, right? So I'm like, you know what? I want to have like those symmetrical, skinny face, whatnot. I want to be the best. At least I want to get one girl, right? Which I was surprised. Anyway, so I'll get to that about the James Ling thing. Freaking, I came from Ottawa to James Ling, and already I was too late. Everybody had their girlfriends. And there was one fat girl, right? She was kind of tan, like darker. And then even her, she was a fan of Royal. I'm like, oh my God, even this fat chick, she's like obsessed with Royal, who never even give her a chance. And she was always to be like, oh, Royal, I cooked this for you. What a loser. Anyway, so yeah, at the end, you guys notice, So at the end, you guys notice that everybody, they become modernized. Whether I've spoken to folks from Dhaka, they're very selfish, right? They don't understand. They don't give to their cousins, or they're not paying attention to what I'm saying. Even folks in Bangladesh, what else you call the folks, Buddhist folk, they're not that informed. So they're doing their thing. They're acting nice. Everything's good. But then in some parts, you're doing shady stuff, right? Be it the contribution or the way, like you don't even know that you're charging your tenant so much, but then eventually you won't be able to, like, you're gonna have to keep on staying on loan, because if you pay it off, then it's gonna be considered as income, right? So they will keep on staying on loan. They're gonna have 2 duplex, 3 duplex. They don't realize, they think Islam, why do you say interest is bad? Interest is bad because other people will get richer. By the time you pay off your broken home, $20,000 home, there's gonna be 10 buildings in downtown. And then your son is going to be the janitor, and your wife also has to work. Otherwise, you cannot pay the income tax for your home. Okay? And plus, you're going to be working for $2. So this is basic math. So you think nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. It happened always. Okay, you guys already know. Those of Bangladesh, many of us, we saw 3 currencies, right? We had the Akpai Ekana Dui Charana. Then we had Akpai Dui Paspai. Then we had the Ektaka Dui Taka Tin Taka, right? I think when I was younger, we still used to 5 cents, 10 cents, blah, blah, blah. And right now, I think the minimum, the $1 in Bangladesh is 5 taka, right? And in Canada, the dollar, first we got rid of the 5 cents, 10 cents, no more pennies, less than loonies and toonies. Right now, the minimum price in Canada is $2.79. I don't know if you guys noticed. $2.79 is the dollar stuff, right? So same thing as Bangladesh. And so all this for what? Let's say, for example, you have this Tesla. You're like, oh my God, you're boasting to your friends, right? But this Tesla in 20 years or 10 years, I know you're going to be able to enjoy, you're going to live. You have whatever, worked for some company, this and that. But it's like that's kind of way up. Like take a look at the 1950s, whatever Corvette or this and that, right? So you're doing all this. You're like, oh, I'm rich. I'm rich. I have three duplexes now. No, because of your duplexes, you have paid so much interest, right? There's many buildings in downtown. They're all over the world. They're getting built from your interest money. Your broken home, $20,000. Then you got to fix up, do the roof for 25,000, so on and so forth, extorting the tenants, right? And at the end, what if you make $1 million profit? If you go to Bangladesh or another country, Himalaya, you need to pay 60 to 70%, 70% actually, 67, 68%, right? And then you could go with the 300,000. And by the time you go, there's nothing left. And even the flat in Dubai, you're going to go to Dubai first class, you're going to give your wife a massage. The 300,000 is obviously, I'm exaggerating. I'm just giving you to make it simplify because you guys are not understanding. So when you're going to go outside, your money's gonna finish right away, right? You're gonna buy one flat in Indonesia, it's already cost 400,000 and you only have 300,000. So, and then you've done all this, maintenance and whatnot, all these headaches, and then you even boasted yourself, oh no, I'm richer than you, blah blah blah. So as you guys saw, so they're like, oh no, interest. That's why they're like, oh no, Malbi, he's not good. Malbi is telling you interest is bad. I don't know who gives this fatwa that buying one house is okay, right? Same thing I think with Shabir Ali. He told me the music, you cannot avoid music. You go to the shopping mall, then what can you do, and then. Shabir Ali is like a South American. He's Trinidadian or something. He's a Canadian imam from Toronto. Quran speaks, right? Quran speaks. So he's from Sunni background with a scholarly modernist thing to help us live in the modern thing. So I don't know if he said it, but some of the people, like I was never interested. But then my wife, she came up with the thing. She's like, oh, the interests are okay if you buy one house. What can you do? By the time you save up, your house is gonna be more. I think some guy was telling me the other day. Oh, how if I want to buy a house, how can I buy $1 million house? I'm like, uncle, why do you have to buy $1 million house? And why do you have to live in a country where it's even your yearly taxes and others, municipal, everything is contributing to injustices and so on, right?